So that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, for good reason. And after that, every time a clean air and water bill came up, people started really paying attention. So what you want to look for in these things is, where is the money going? One thing you do want to see, you do want to see some people getting paid to be administrators in these bonds, and that is oversight. So there should be auditors and oversight managers. So auditors are going to be people who are going to every year tell you what's happening with the money. And then oversight managers are the people who are going to gather and create public oversight groups. So they'll go out into the state and find citizens who want to be on this oversight group, and they'll run it and manage it. Right? So that way, so you want to see if there, yes, you have to have money for those people. But or not, the rest of the money should be going into like actual water and actual air. So you always read these things before you vote on them. All right, now let me show you what it means to read these things. This is the part where most people don't. So here we have a summary. Authorizes $10 billion in general obligation bonds for water, wildfire. By the way, general obligation bonds means that the money ultimately comes from the general fund to service the bond. All y'all's taxes go in the general fund at some point. Sales taxes, property taxes, income taxes, mostly income taxes and sales taxes. Increased state costs about $400 million annually for 40 years. All right, so what's 400 million times 40? Well, what's just 400 times 40? So now we need to add 3 zeros on the end of that. No. 6 zeros on the end of that. Good. 160 billion. So this one's actually going to cost 16 times its amount. But 40 years from now. So basically the bond says 10 billion, we're going to spend that, and then they're going to pay $400 million a year to service the bond, which means, you understand, in about, what, 20 some years, okay, so that is going to be double. So that 25 years, they'll hit your 10 billion mark. And then everything after that, for the next 20 years, is going to service the investment of the bond buyer. Supporters are Clean Water Action, CAL FIRE Firefighters, National Wildlife Federation, Nature Conservancy. The opponents are the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, which, by the way, if the word bond or tax or fee comes up, the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association will be against it. Doesn't even matter what it is. I'd like to think that if they're that against taxes, the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association would vote no on an initiative to fund the administrators of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. So a yes vote, $10 billion through 40-year bonds. A no vote, no. Okay, people argue for and against. They're going to bring their emotions into those arguments. They're not going to bring the cold hard facts. Do you want the cold hard facts? Here's how the law of the bond will look. You go over here, text of proposed law. And then what you do is you read this. Proposition 3. This amendment, proposed by Assembly Constitutional Amendment 5, blah, 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 blah. Anything that's in italics is new. Anything that's in bold strike through is being deleted. Anything that is none of the above stays the same.
downstairs. I want to get back to the order we left today.
The prop boards are
They're probably going to catch all cameras.
Huh?
Probably going to catch all the cameras, even if you.
It's not my fault.
Yeah, neither do I.
It tells you all the numbers and justifications.
For the person.
It becomes
lost
its
his
own
food,
law,
still back
Division
his food.
50, Safe Water, Wildfire Prevention,
We'll get back to every last
Air
food.
Act of 2024, Audubon for the word. This, by the way, these are all the things that you're gonna spend money on. Approximately how much money they're gonna spend on it, how they're going to use it, who's gonna be in charge of doing it. What page are we on? Page 11. 13. So this particular law, this bond, has, for you to see, if you're so inclined, look at that, 20 pages of text that explains how the money is going to be spent and how it's going to be maintained and overseen. In theory, that's what you should be doing, is reading those 20 pages. What you're looking for are things like, we're going to set up the San Francisco Conservancy.
I practice after. I practice next period.
Right, see,
Huh?
right. How about Prop 3? A constitutional right to marriage.
That's all yours.
Here's what they're changing. Okay, back in the late 80s, early 90s, somewhere around there, somebody put forth a law,
Do you want this job?
proposition that would change the law in the state of California.
Just me.
Or more to the point, it named a declaration official in the state of California. But it has to do with finances and medical decision making. And the law was that the
You
state
don't want
of
it?
California only
just
recognizes
weird?
marriage as between one man and one woman.
Because it's 0.
That law passed, and so for a period of time, the state of California legally and officially only recognized marriage as being between one man and one woman. Then, in the early 2000s, somebody put forward another ballot proposition that would undo that law and make gay marriage legal in the state of California. That one passed, even better than the first one. And so, as of that day, in the state of California recognizes marriage between two gay people as legally binding.
Hell yeah.
So, what that means in the positive sense is this: two people who are gay who are married, if one of them becomes ill, injured, then the other one has all the rights that a spouse has in a heterosexual marriage when it comes to making medical decisions and the like. Whereas before they were considered the same thing as a friend, they weren't even family. So a lot of times, while their partner was sick in the hospital, they couldn't even visit them because they're not family. If something happens and one of the partners dies, because they're married, the other one automatically is the surviving spouse and recipient of their estate. So you don't have to go through suing, probate, and all that other stuff. It's just automatic, like any spouse. If they get divorced, which they have to do by the court because they're legally married, then protections for finances and children come into play. It isn't just two random people breaking up. So now, finances and children are protected under law. So that's the sort of basis of it. It has farther-reaching implications for that, has to do with things like insurance. So for one partners has a job that has insurance that extends to the family. Before that law, the partner could not be included on that insurance. Now, because it's their spouse, they can. Right, so here's what's happening. Over the next week, we are going to learn who, well, maybe, depending on how close it is and how many lawsuits there are. But let's just say that everything shakes out the way we expect it to without lawsuits. About a week from now, we should know who the President of the United States is and who the various Congress members and senators are. What that's going to do is shape how federal law
Your car was
works
like
for the next,
Jada.
could be generations.
And we'll talk Jada.
Some of our Supreme Court justices are relatively young and could in theory be on the bench for 30, 40 years. Okay. Well, the younger ones come from both sides, so that's the interesting dynamic. So for you, so you've got like people that are in their 40s on the bench, which means that when you're an adult, they'll still be there. The ones that are currently like 70, yeah, they'll be gone.
It's not stick. It's called column shifter.
But there's, if
Oh, this
one
is
of the candidates wins, they've made
This looks like one.
noises that would suggest that gay marriage would be made illegal in the United States. Now, they can't actually do that. They can't make it illegal in that regard. It would just mean that in certain spaces, the federal government wouldn't recognize it. However, this would fall under that thing called states' rights. So, what the federal government can do is they can supersede state laws in certain cases, right? So, what this does is it takes the marriage rights and takes it out of the law realm and moves it into the state constitution. And stuff that's in the state constitution can't be superseded by federal law. It is firmly entrenched in the state right. So if the federal government institutes does not recognize gay marriage, the announcement would be, well, it's in the California Constitution, so it's perfectly legal here. So constitutional, which is why it takes, I believe, 67 to change the state constitution. So that's what's going on. So this changes the Constitution, and